Alright, my coworker sold one of our Funhouses, and he just asked me to check it over before it goes to the customer, and so that's what I'm gonna do. All we've done so far is he just unboxed it and put it on legs. So I'm going to test it out, see what's what. So far, we noticed as it came out of the box, so far so good, visually. It's a really good looking game. I bought one of these myself about a year ago, and it was really cool to unbox a new one because I remember the original. Cabinet and art looks solid. One thing I like about these is how smooth the cabinet is. They do a nice job of finishing touches even on the back here, and even on the inside is pretty clean. Another thing I took note of, just for my own reference, is the build date, which is July of 2025. So it has been in the box for about a year. Haven't noticed anything crazy yet. Did notice there is Mylar in front of the scoop. I like to see that. Some of the early ones had thinner Mylar, and we asked if they could make it a little thicker, so it looks like they did do that. Other than that, time to plug it in and see how it's doing. This is the goodie box that comes with the game. So I'm gonna grab the power cord out of here. If you're wondering what the other stuff is, they did include optional scoop protectors for you. You don't have to put them on, but they're there if you want them. So those would go here on the right scoop and here on the mirror. A lot of people ask about the remote. All that really is for the display in the back. I think the only thing you would really use it for is to change the brightness on the screen, but I've never needed it for anything, so just leave it in your box. Don't worry about it. These caps actually just go over the wires on the switches to protect them. You do get extra flipper rubbers. They do nice synthetic rubber, which lasts pretty well. You get the tilt bob, which is pretty small in this game. And you get some extra fuses and some extra light bulbs, back box bolts, instruction cards. Yes, it does say install 3 balls, but you can make custom ones if you want. Other than that, they're pretty good quality, so you can put those on. But for now, I'm just grabbing the power cord. Game is plugged in. I'm gonna power it on for the first time. Okay. All good there. You can see the score of the last time maybe it was tested at the factory. Cool. So far so good. If you do have any issues powering it up for the first time, there have been a few where, especially after it's been sitting for a while, it doesn't seem to come on, and then it turns out it's a pretty quick fix. You just have to reflash the SD card, and then in my experience, it's been fine after that. So I understand it could be scary sometimes when you power on your first game and it's like, oh my gosh, it doesn't seem to work. Do not fret, especially if you buy it from us. You'll have all the tech support you need. I can even just mail you an SD card. But I'm glad to see that after sitting for a year, this one powered on just fine. So it just does seem to just have affected some of them and not all of them. All right. I'm going to take the glass off so I can test it a little bit better. Alright, let's run some tests. So this is the classic edition. We're on the original code, so the menu is going to be almost identical to the 1990s menus that you may be used to. So I'm going to hit that black button to enter the menu. Okay, I actually got a question about this recently. It still has the old out hole test in the menu. That's from the original game. The remake does have a different trough, so it only uses one coil. It's actually, in my opinion, a better trough. You can see it's gravity fed, so the balls roll to the right and then it just needs one coil to work. It's got nice new trough boards with status lights on it. So don't worry about the fact that out hole doesn't do anything in the test. And I'm gonna pull my interlock switch here. Okay, I'm just gonna make sure everything works. There we go. Okay. Everything seems to work as far as the solenoids. I'm going to do the Rudy test. Cool. It's been a while since I've done this. You may have noticed his eyes look a little twitchy in the Rudy test. I've learned not to worry about that. It's fine in the actual gameplay and it's fine in the solenoid test. I just wanted to verify that his eyelids were opening and closing there. Let's make sure all of the lights work. These games were shipped from Italy in containers to us. The container shipping actually, they seem to arrive pretty safely. The boxes looked really good. But I feel like compared to shipping games from Chicago, it's just, they've come a little further. So there might be an increased chance of a connector wiggling loose. And so this one appears to be just fine. Sometimes I'll see a connector that has jiggled loose. And the way the lights are chained together on this game, you may see a whole group of lights out because of the way they're daisy chained. And it's usually just one connector loose. So just double checking, but so far so good. And here's lamps and flashers. Some people ask me, for example, they'll be like, oh, why aren't these lighting in lamp test? Well, they're flashers, so it's just a different type of light, a different voltage, so it's not always in the same test. But this game does have a lamps plus flashers test, so that's pretty handy. Let's check some switch tests. So there's edges and levels. Levels are currently active switches, so I'll just make sure there's nothing in there that looks not right. Always closed is fine. Optos are fine. And trapdoor closed. That makes sense because the trapdoor is currently closed. So I'm not worried about any of those. Optos they're kind of backwards of switches. So like for example, the Superdog Opto up here, it's a beam of light. So it kind of shows active because it's seeing the beam of light, and then once you break it, that's what triggers the switch. So sometimes that's why it's on there on the switch levels, even though it's not currently active. All right, let's go to switch edges. This is the switch test that you're going to use the most often in pinball. And I'll grab a ball for this. So this game uses the same rollover switches that a Williams game would use. And a ball is a little more accurate than your finger for testing switches. We got right plunger, right out lane. I'll just show the screen as I go here. This one looks like it's maybe sitting a little bit low. It's currently working. What else? Okay. Then we got these roll under switches here. Good. Sometimes I check multiple times, especially on, I know some switches are more sensitive than others to being adjusted, and so these I've seen sometimes not register if the little actuator isn't hanging down just right. So that's why I'm testing it multiple times, but this one was perfectly fine out of the box. Left orbit, we do have a rollover switch here that is different from the original. It would have been a roll under switch. On some of the early games, that switch wasn't, it was like sitting too high and causing a ball trap. And so I did recommend a fix because we took 5 of the early production games to Expo, and some of them were causing a little bit of a ball trap up there. So I basically, I needed to lower the resting position of the switch, and there wasn't a whole lot of room to work with because of the lamp board. And so I introduced spacers to the lamp board to give me the room to make the switch adjustment that I needed. And then they incorporated that into the final build. So this has that modification. So I really appreciated the ability to give feedback on the early ones and get some changes for the ones that were being sent out to customers later. So Rudy is an opto switch, if you're wondering how that works. It's an opto in front of his mouth there. And behind here we have 3 lock switches. So I'm gonna let the game kick out the balls so I can get them back and test some more switches. So I'm gonna back out here. There we go. I just had to go to a track mode and pull the interlock switch, and then it'll automatically kick them out. Oh. Push the switch back in. There we go. All right, let's test some more. Another sensitive area on any Funhouse, original or remake, is the lock switches. A lot of these take manual adjustment from the factory, so I can understand how it's kind of a challenge, but they do have a checklist. They check everything at the factory, but sometimes I'll have a customer where they end up needing a switch adjustment, so I'll make a video for them and show them how to do that. With the lock switches, they can be removed from the bottom of the playfield for adjustment, so you don't have to worry about taking ramps off and stuff like that. So far so good. Like I said, with certain switches like this, I like to test them multiple times. That way, if there's an intermittent issue or something like that, I'm more likely to catch it. I'll show you the screen this time. So lock area left. So as I'm putting it in there, it's rolling over right and center and landing on left. Okay, that one bounced, so that's why it registered twice, but then it landed in the correct spot. I will double check this in gameplay with actually flipping the ball in there at full speeds to make sure it's registering everything correctly. And then with Funhouse, you also want to make sure it releases correctly. Once again, when you buy your game, you can just jump in and start playing if you want. This is just me double checking it before it goes to a customer, so I'm being a little more thorough. There also is a setting for the lock kick out strength if you ever need to adjust that. All right, so we've done solenoids, we've done lights, we've done most of the switches. Let's do a few more. There's still a few I haven't done yet. I'm toggling this interlock switch back and forth for whether I want the balls to kick out or I want to use the menu buttons here. Okay. few more I haven't done yet. Another important one is the ramp switches. So there's a switch, sorry, here and here. These are others that are sensitive to adjustment. So if for some reason they're not registering, you may need to adjust the angle of how much the wire sticks out from the switch. Let's see. Keep in mind, the ball is going to be moving really fast for these switches, so I'm going to follow up with a full play test at full speeds. And let's do this. I don't think we've done the scoop yet, so it calls it the tunnel kick out. I don't remember if we've done this one yet. Okay, so that one, it rolls over a switch. I think it called it the wind tunnel. And then, cool. We've already kind of done the trough switches, but let me balls back out for a second. Okay, so one of them's in the trough. And so it's showing right trough. That's that ball that's sitting in there. And let's go ahead and put another one in. Center trough and left trough. So far so good on the trough optos. Pop bumpers. I just leaned on the flipper button. Make sure the skirt registers at a few different spots here so you get good pop bumper action. That's good. That's looking promising on the pop bumpers. That's another thing that sometimes I have to adjust on pinball machines. And our flipper's active here. Yes, all right. So right flipper, left flippers. Perfect. So far, everything is great. That makes me really happy. Let's do some more checks. All right, something unique to the Funhouse Remake, it's also similar to Chicago gaming remakes, is if you press and hold that green button, there's actually an extended menu here. And if you're not sure how to get to that, you specifically want to do it from a tracked mode in the original code. So if you have an LE, go over to the original rule set and just be in a tracked mode, so not a game, and then press and hold the green button. All right, I think I timed it out. Let me do it again. Press and hold green. As soon as you see a version number, you'll know you're in there. So it's 1.036. That's a pretty late version number. I think 3.7 is the latest. I'm gonna hit the right red button to page through. Some of these I never do anything with. I never mess with any of that. These are like light settings. 1.5 yes or no. I always do yes. If you do no, the screen will emulate the alphanumeric displays of the old game, but I prefer the new updated animations. Auto plunger, yes. The original didn't have that, but the new one does, which is a handy feature. Shaker motor, it says yes. This one doesn't have the shaker motor installed. That's an optional feature. 2.0, it says yes, but this particular one doesn't have the 2.0 on it, so that's not really going to do anything. Left flipper, ooh, actually I might adjust this. Okay, so these are the flipper strength settings, and I like to do normal. So I'm going to hit enter, go to the right to normal, and then enter. I do love to having the ability to change the flipper strength. You don't want to go too high. Okay, so upper flipper I do low. So normal, normal, low. We went ahead and had them put nice and strong flipper coils in there so that the peak strength is plenty. But we find that if you turn it all the way up, the ball gets kind of airborne, and the physics of the ramp is like too out of control. And so we kind of deliberately had them set it so normal's where you want to be, low is fine for the upper flipper. If you go lower than that, to me it just feels a little too low. So that's why if it defaults to low for some reason, I'll change it to normal. I usually don't change the slings. Tunnel highest, that actually in my experience works pretty well. So if yours isn't on highest, go ahead and do that. Trough highest should be fine. Lock highest, I do recommend that. Sometimes if it's lower than that, it may take more than one try to kick out the lock. So auto plunger high, I usually don't mess with that. Lock clear out, yes, that's the default setting on Funhouse. I think that's fine. Here's where you can do a factory reset. The only time I use this is if I reflash an SD card and I lose my audio settings. You'll notice there's like missing sounds and things that are out of balance. You can do a factory reset here, and that's a quick, easy way to fix that. Ball save you might want to turn on. That's a nice feature on the Remake. So if you want to turn that on, change that to yes. And then we also had them add tests. So there's a flipper test in here, which is handy if you're troubleshooting any flipper issues, which this one doesn't have any issues. And a couple extra tests that the originals didn't have. But I'm going to back out because that's all I really need to do in there. Man, this is going really smoothly. So about at the point of playtesting it, I think. Now I'm gonna check underneath the playfield. Another nice thing about the Remake is the balls will not fall out. It has a nice little hinged flap that keep the balls in the trough. And the way the playfield pivots, I personally think this is super easy. If I need to get in here, that's all you have to do. It just tilts back. You can either prop it up or you can go all the way back. And you don't have to take the balls out. So super simple. While I'm in here, I'll go ahead and put the tilt bob in because it's easier to do with the playfield up. You'll notice Funhouse Remake does have a small tilt bob. It's okay, but they went back to a traditional tilt bob for the next game, which is Tales of the Arabian Nights. But this is how you put the tilt bob in. Notice I tightened this nut just to help prevent it from getting loose and the weight falling off of it. I noticed it's a little off center, so I'm gonna bend the bracket that it hangs from just a little bit. That's pretty solid. I'm gonna leave it nice and generous for the customer, and then he can adjust it however he wants. I do usually have to bend the ring on certain games as well, but not too hard. Alright, I'm going to take a look at the bottom side of the playfield. Once again, just make sure connectors are seated. Just see if I see anything awry. You'll see how clean the inside of the game looks. See how nice and finished the blue is, even on the inside, and there's no overspray or anything. And then it looks to me like, you know, decent quality, nice looking wood for the bottom. This game does have more connectors than the original. They did that to make it easier to swap coils, which can be really nice. I did have one customer that has had his Funhouse on location for a year, and he did have this coil, which is very commonly used, go bad, and so I sent him a new one, and the new one comes with the connector on it. You can also solder it if you have a coil already and you just want to solder it in, that's fine. So, in a way, it's nice because if you don't solder, you can replace the coil without having to solder. The thing I will say that goes along with that is if you do have any coil issues, like for example, one of the early production ones that went on location had 3 coils that just kind of flaked out, and it just turned out one of the wires wasn't quite pushed all the way in one of these connectors. And so what I do to troubleshoot that is I say, okay, which coils are not working? And I think for him, I know it involved the trough kick out and maybe the auto launch and one other. And so the power wires for the coils are yellow. So I literally just followed, okay, it's, you know, this coil, followed the yellow wires and quickly found a connector that was in common to the ones that were out, and then checked the wires for that. So I'll go back over this with 2 hands, but basically I'm making sure the connectors are pushed together, and then I'm gonna tug on each individual wire because it shouldn't easily pull out. If it easily pulls out, then it may not be firmly clicked into place. And since we've already run the coil test and everything's working, I don't really expect to find any issues here. But for due diligence, I'll at least lay eyes on them and check. I'm doing the coil wires, which usually have yellow involved. Okay, and then I will also, to do due diligence, check the lamp board wires. So the lamp boards are the white boards. Once again, if you seem to have a group of lights out, these lamp boards are chained together using these little connectors with blue, yellow, and black. And so if one of those little connectors is loose or something, then it can affect the things down the chain. So this is the first thing you would check if you have a group of lights out. Most cases, it's just a matter of pushing the connector in a little bit further if it got jostled in shipping. In a couple of cases, I ended up replacing a connector. I think it's only happened twice. And that's something, once again, if you're a new pinball buyer and you bought it with our free warranty, like, we'll help you with anything that you're not sure about. And I do highly recommend buying Funhouse from us because we are the US master distributor. We do have a fair amount of spare parts here, and I'm pretty used to working on these because a lot of them have come through here. So I can help you with the tech questions. And then, like I said, our warranty is free. So I don't know why you wouldn't go that route. So I just want to make sure you're aware that if you're interested in a Funhouse remake, that is what I would highly recommend, is buying from the pinball company is our name. Okay. Have not found any issues. I'll check the trough connectors. Flippers look good. I'll check the pop bumpers. Looking at the pop bumpers from the bottom side, once again, these are just same design as Williams. In fact, Pedretti got most of their parts from Planetary Pinball, the distributor of Williams parts. So one thing that I sometimes have to adjust on pop bumpers is when you push on the colored skirt, you could see that blue piece that's moving when I push on it. That pushes on the white spoon-shaped piece. That's why this is called a spoon switch. And then that pushes on the metal switch, and then the metal switch comes into contact. So the two contacts of the metal switch, so the contacts of the round piece, will touch, and that's what triggers the switch hit. And it needs to be able to be triggered from all the sides of the pop bumper skirt that the ball can touch. So for the most part, like, these worked fine in switch tests. This looks reasonably fine. But for reliability's sake, this one worries me a little bit. This is the white pop bumper. And I'm gonna push on it. Actually, now it's behaving fine on video. Let's see. It's touching and then opening when I release. Okay, so it might be all right. I was concerned that the gap was too small. You can see it's quite small. So I was thinking about expanding that gap a little bit. On pop bumpers, you do want the smallest possible gap without it touching to get good pop bumper action. But you want to make sure that it's not touching all the time. So honestly, this is working really well right now, so maybe I'll just keep an eye on it. But it may not need any adjustment. But anyway, this might help you if yours needs adjustment, just to see how it's supposed to be. All right. That's about it underneath. I think we're ready to play. I keep baiting you into thinking we're playing. One more thing to show you while the playfield's up. The other thing that sometimes needs adjustment on Funhouse, or really any pinball machine, is the plunge. You'll notice that the plunger is attached to the cabinet, but the ball's going to be sitting up here on the playfield. So there's always going to be a little bit of wiggle room, and it's kind of hard to avoid, but there's always a chance after shipping that it's not going to line up perfectly. And if it doesn't strike at least close to the center of the ball, it might send the ball ricocheting and it won't go as far as it should. So if you were to need to adjust it, the ability to adjust is built in. You can see each plunger is held on by 5 screws. Loosen all 5 screws. You will be able to shift this entire thing up, down, left, or right. And so find the sweet spot where it strikes the center of the ball and it works well, and then tighten it back up. Occasionally I have to move it more than these wood set screws will allow. These bottom 2 are going into the wood, so you can actually take those out, give you a lot more adjustment room, and then just do your final tighten with these top 3 screws, and you can leave these out if you need to. I have a whole separate video on that, which is a topic that helps with any pinball machine, dialing it in, but it's something that's of course important on Funhouse, especially since it has 2 plungers. And you will notice the springs are different color. That is on purpose. There are different strengths. The ball has to travel uphill on the left, so it calls for a different strength. Let's put the playfield back down. Always careful to try and keep it centered. I have not leveled this game yet. Key for the back box hangs on a hook inside the coin door, if you weren't sure. I'm gonna check the level. If it's way out of level, sometimes it affects the way the game plays and it's not a true test, so I'm gonna check that. It is leaning to the left a little bit. So I'm gonna raise the left side with the leg levelers. Perfect. Leveling is not something that has to take a long time. For some reason, not a lot of people level their game, but you could see I'm a girl. I did it by myself in what, 1 minute? So don't fret about leveling. I'll let you watch the game power up with me. It's good just to see what normal behavior is. Occasionally I get questions about, is this normal or is that normal? Now you can kind of see what a typical experience is. All right, oh, one more thing. I didn't put it on free play. Let's do that. Oh, customer's calling. Haha, we're not ready yet. Free play. It does have credits on it, but let's put it on free play. Gonna go enter, adjustments, pricing, free play. Yes. Back. Boom. Start button. The plunge actually felt pretty good. Oh, thank goodness I turned on the ball save. To say I deserve that. Find that. I'm trying. Pop bumpers are pretty good. Try a step shot. Alright. Oh my gosh, the plunge is perfect. I love it. I'm short plunging on purpose. There's the lock shot. This is like maybe the best multi-ball sequence in pinball. Oh. Kickout's pretty strong, and his mouse shot's very early on the kipper. Oh my god! I'm too old for this. My reflexes are too slow. I've played so much Funhouse, but in the last like 4 months, I really have not played it that much. See if I can get back in the groove. We get to let him sleep and snore a little longer. Million is lit, even more reason to shoot him. Come on. There we go. I just gotta be ready to react. Nailed it. Boom. I'm bouncing the steps. Oh my god. It's so smooth that it went way further than I was expecting. Alright. When I play test, of course, gameplay is important, but also it's important to get reps on certain particular things. Since I know Funhouse pretty well, I'll focus on a couple more things I wrote down. So one is to double check the pops. So I'm gonna get a ball out. If you don't know how to do this, you can go like this. You can do it with the power off to be safe. But I'm just not gonna touch the lugs of the coil here. Here's a quick way of testing the pops. We're pretty sure they're fine, but this is just one of the things, especially since I was looking at that switch and I wanted to make sure it's not too close. I just give it more reps by deliberately dropping the ball in that area. I need to pull the interlock switch over and over. And that gives you a lot better test data than just lucking into it during a game and just hitting it every once in a while. So as I drop the ball in, I'm checking that all sides of the skirts are registering, all three pops are popping, and you don't have any. See, that's really good. That one where it didn't pop, I just totally missed the skirt. So it's got to touch the skirt. Grab another ball here. And you could try starting from different points. Try to get the top. There we go. Yeah. Alright. I don't really have any concerns about what I'm seeing here. That looks great to me. Alright, next thing is to get some more reps in on the plunge. During the gameplay, it felt great. As I mentioned, as a pinball player, I often want a soft plunge to my right flipper or soft plunge for a slow feed to my left. But for testing, I want to see if the full plunge works, because it should work on any pinball machine. A full plunge should be able to make it all the way around. So I want to make sure it's capable of doing that, because a lot of people, when they walk up, they're just going to go full send. They're not going to know to soft plunge it. And if they full send and it just kind of trickles slowly and rattles, that's not really what it's supposed to do. So I'm going to test the full send. And that is great. The fact that I didn't have to do any adjustment and it's like perfect is really nice. It saves me time from having to do any adjustment. It gives me confidence that out of the box it's that good. Even though, like I said, in shipping sometimes it needs adjustment. So similar thing on the left. You should be able to you know, soft plunge for the frenzy or extra ball, the score 500,000, and it should be able to make it all the way around. Even though I like the soft plunge for frenzy, it should have the capability of making it all the way around. I will say with this steps ramp, look what it has to make it over here. It's physically, there's like some big cutouts here. So sometimes it's gonna get airborne and fall into one of these even on a full plunge, but it should be possible to get up here. So I'm gonna test it a few more times. It's feeling like it's got plenty of power. Oh yeah, that was perfect. So I'm not seeing anything concerning here. Okay, that was not a very good one, so I'm gonna keep trying it. And on something like this, I'll sometimes even count 10 tests, and if it's good 8 or 9 times out of 10, then I'm happy with that. Pinball being physical, there's gonna be some physics involved, like I said, with those big cutouts. Yeah, so there's some, that was slightly less than full plunge. It went all the way around. Anyway, I acknowledge that was a little bit sporadic, but I didn't see or feel anything concerning there, so I'm personally going to move on. Okay, one thing I thought I saw earlier is I thought I saw the hallway lights doing something weird, but when I reviewed the video footage, they looked to be just fine. They have different animations depending on where you're at. That's something that was added to the remake, same with the gangway lighting. And so during gameplay, let me go back to a track mode. There we go. So now that I'm back in a track mode, they're just going through their paces of light shows. So it looks like it's triggered with some of the lights that are coming on and off. And when it's on, it'll do that cycle. And when it's off, it's just off. So I don't think there's actually anything wrong there, but this is something you can use as comparison on yours. So once again, I'm not concerned about that, but I just wanted to double check it. One other weird thing I noticed in the video of my gameplay is when I started the game, he said Funhouse, and then he moved his mouth, and I didn't hear him say ha ha ha. And some of you keen Funhouse players may have noticed that. Let me see if that's an actual issue, or if he, sometimes his speech varies a little bit, and there's a chance I'm just not remembering it. So let me test that. Let's see. This is something I really have to deal with. Sound and music.
What was that?
I'm skipping ahead.
I thought we were pals. Get yourself a hot dog, you big sausage.
Okay, I don't see a specific speech call out test for Funhouse. Ha ha ha. Let me start another game and just see how that behaves. That was perfectly fine. Okay. Interesting. So, let's start it again and see if it's any different. Okay. Either there's just a little bit of variance on how he does that, or for whatever reason, the scenario of that game I had earlier, he didn't laugh. I don't know exactly why, but the fact that it worked twice in a row there, I'm not going to worry about that too much. But that's the level of testing that I'm doing. Just any little thing I notice, I'll sometimes double check and see, is this a real concern or not, or is this just, you know, a non-issue? All right, I'll put the instruction cards in. All right, as I was pulling out the instruction and pricing cards, this one was actually missing. That's the first time I've seen that. I was just about to remark that there's actually an extra sheet of Mylar in there, and I was like, oh cool, I never noticed that. And then I saw it was missing the instruction card. So the good news is, here at the pinball company, and of course if you buy a new one from us under warranty, ignore my mess, I was able to just walk over here and grab a new instruction card. So I'm just playing it as it lies, showing you everything that I find. And that's something I did find, but hey, it could be rectified pretty easily. And I'll go ahead and show me putting these in. There is something I noticed on these. I like the quality of them, the print quality, the thickness, the color and everything. But to me, they're just a little bit on the small side, because they should tuck into the corners here, and they tend to want to fall out. So this is what I do on these. I just get a little bit of painter's tape. I'll try just one piece. I can't remember if I did one or two in the past. I think one is fine, just to help it stay in there. Instructions go on the left. It is nice to have the bullet point instruction list, especially if you're learning the game. And then same with the right side. I'm gonna just put a little piece of tape there. So this is where your price card would be on a home use game. You generally want it to say free play, which this does. It's got the logo. Eagle-eyed pinball owners will notice this says install 3 balls. It should say something to the effect of you get 3 balls. Something just got lost in translation there. So if you want to make your own custom ones, that's fine. I don't worry about it. I just put it in there. It looks fine to me. All right, one more final check. I'm gonna put the glass on and do a final check of the lockdown bar tightness. I remember somebody commented at Expo that the lockdown bar felt loose. That is adjustable. It's not a big deal. You adjust these 2 screws. So I think this one is already adjusted, but I just want to verify. I had to push down on that back channel just a little bit to get the glass seated. Oh yeah, that's really tight. It uses the Bally Williams receiver and lockdown bar. Pinball owners will know it's a pretty common thing where sometimes they feel loose, but that's what those screws are for, and they got the adjustment just right on this one at the factory. So I'm really pleased with this. We're checking it over for peace of mind for the customer. I understand some people are just a little nervous about buying a game that's built in Italy from a company that maybe they're not as familiar with. This is made by Pedretti in Italy. And so I like to give people peace of mind and factual information from the person that does the tech support. I feel like I'm probably in the best position to give you information on checking this game and what problems to look for. So hopefully getting the information directly from the source of the person that sees the most Funhouse remakes and does the tech support is helpful. And I can give you an honest and transparent report of what I find. And my conclusion is overall it's very good. There's a lot of pluses. And the issues that I do see, as you could see, they're resolvable. It's not something to be afraid of. The scariest one is the SD card, but the resolution is easy. So I don't think you need to lose any sleep over it. And other than that, we're looking at connectors, we're adjusting switches, and we're adjusting plungers. It's nothing any different from any other pinball machine, really. So nothing to be afraid of with the Italian pinball maker. Most of the parts are actually American. A lot of them are Bally Williams parts, and the boards are also made in America by Fast. And the Italians are nice people too, and they make a beautiful game. So troubleshooting is, for me, just a lot like any other pinball machine. It's really not that bad. And starting with a fresh new game is always a huge advantage. I thought of one more topic here, which is the stand-up targets. I'm holding one in my hand here. This is something I do see comments online about a little bit. This is different from the original Funhouse. The original Funhouse had just kind of flat stand-up targets that were single color. These are three-dimensional, opaque, similar to actually what you would see on Whitewater from the 1990s. And the cool thing about this is they have RGB lighting in them, and so they can light up different colors, which for certain modes of the game is nice, and also for light shows. And they're also modular, so they come with a connector that you can plug and unplug. Now, I've seen your comments online. There are people that rant and rage about these, and their concern is that they break more often. And I can understand that. Just like on Whitewater, they do break a little more often than the plastic one, or the flat ones. But I will tell you from my tech experience of selling a lot of these games and doing the tech support, I don't think I've had a single home customer that has had a broken target. But I have extras in case. I don't have a ton of extras, but I have some extras. I think I've had 2 customers that have had broken targets. Both games were on location, so they're getting played more. Now, it's fine to put your game on location. I do that myself. My Funhouse has been on location for over a year, and it hasn't broken any targets. So I just want to give you a reality check. Some people make it sound like this is some gigantic problem. And to me, it's been 2 customers, and they're both en route. And in those cases, if they bought the game from us and it's under warranty, I just give them free targets. So that's that. But if it's something you're thinking about as you're looking at the next game, Tales of the Arabian Nights, they decided to just simplify and go back to the regular flat targets. But thought I'd just fill you in on that information. Now I'm going to walk you over and give you a sneak peek of the next game. As you can see, we have Funhouse Classic and Ellie up here. Check this out. Tales of the Arabian Nights. Number 000. This is the high-end version with the updated Brian Allen artwork and the purple trim. As we talked about in the Funhouse video, there's a couple updates. They learned some things along the way. The tilt is now the full size, and they just, they've gotten a lot of practice at making remakes with Funhouse. They've made other pinball machines too. And so they continue to refine. I find this to be a beautiful game. We unboxed it, played it right away. It played fine out of the box. I'm picky, so I decided to put a different shooter spring on it. That's all I've done to it so far. But yeah, look for our other videos on Tales of the Arabian Nights, and that's what's coming next from Pedretti.